right, just starting recording here for the weekly VEP update.
There we go.
Evidently, Skip and I have too many webinars we do. So this week, I've been really struggling on what am I going to present to the group this week. And last week I went over some of the new features that are coming out and some of the new additions to the report. Still waiting on publishing those, but you should see 3.0 as soon as I get the go ahead on the website changes being live. So I really don't want to promise a bunch of things and you guys go in there and look at it and go, this looks like crap because you don't have all the features yet. For me, we're just getting off of beta now, and some of the features are just really cool. But what I did think was a good idea was to talk about like how best to use the VEP program and how to best to use reports. Now, Skip and I have spent a lot of time, like we really hammer out this stuff, and it took us a little while, but we were just talking a few minutes ago about how, we need to do this to improve the ITCQ. And Skip's like, well, what's the next way to do that? And we think, oh, there's a new feature in the website. We should really start including that in the ITCQ. For those of you who are ITCQ customers, this is a way to reach out to your customer and kind of evaluate them on what they're doing pre-sales. And some of the new features in the website have this really cool thing that we can now do that just came out. But you guys would all have to convert it over and revamp it and add it into your reports. But since you're VEP members, you're going to automatically get it added. But that just got me thinking about, there's lots of little tricks to reports that we have figured out over the past several years that you guys don't know. And so right now I'm going to show you how to get a couple quick tips on how to get the most out of your report. And Skip, if you have any additions, just feel free to jump and, oh, they're not supposed to see that yet.
You bet. If you guys have been in any of my classes before, you've probably heard me say, I really try to develop as few of the templates as possible and therefore as few reports as possible. And my goal there is to really create a flexible tool so that you can go through the effort to design and develop and test and build a report that you're able to leverage in multiple engagements. If you hear Adam and I talk, we're all about, our weekly, monthly, quarterly, and annual engagements. And if you look at that in whole, you can, get a little intimidated. Well, do I need a report for each one of those? No, you don't necessarily need a report for each one. We have reports that can cover several. One of the ones I use pretty often is the stack assessment. And the stack assessment fits really well in the middle. It's a great report for the QBR, but it can also easily be leveraged in an annual engagement, and we can easily leverage that one into a monthly engagement as well. So we create tools that have flexibility features built in, and that's been a design process from all along. And what Adam was about to show you is Managed Service Platform has come along with some additional features that help us do just that in a more streamlined and I think a little bit more efficient manner.
Yeah, so I'm going to show you guys from a new report standpoint, the new one that I'll be publishing, the 3.0 version that's coming out here shortly. I don't have a ETA on it. I know I keep promising it, but soon. So what I'm going to do here is I'm over in my report section. I went to setup, I'm in reports, but since I have a vendor account, mine looks a little different. I've got vendor report templates. If you ever see me in one of these demos, start clicking around and changing things in here, scream and yell and call foul because this affects all of you.
Yes.
I changed this one. All of your stuff is updated. So call foul. Instead, what I do usually is when I do IT budget strategy or I do strategy development, I rename it version 3.0 or version 2.4. I started doing this summer because I kept updating the original strategy development. This is actually version 2.4. And so I started updating and putting versioning in it so that when you guys get them, I don't automatically overwrite your reports. So when you see something new, that's what it is. Or when I reference one of these, if you guys see the version code after it, that's what you're going to see. So anyways, I'm going to go over to report templates, and you can do the same thing. You should see all of our reports in here that you purchased. If you don't have a report template and you don't see something I'm talking about, just go over to the solution set and grab it again. So in this case, you would come over here and you would grab the VEP one, and you would go over to reports, and you can grab it again from here. So you can download it and it'll go right into your account, no problem. So mine, again, it looks a little different. This is my vendor account with all my weird people in it, all my test clients or whoever else is in it. And what I'm
I'm
going to
in
do,
there.
what?
I'm in there.
You're in there somewhere. And, you know, I'm going to create a new report template. And so this is how I add it to it. Yours should automatically be there. And this is going to create a new section. So I'm just going to click save on this one just to show you guys what it looks like from beginning to end. So this is going to be my master template. So for you, you're going to scroll down and you're going to see IT Strategy Development 3.0 or IT Strategy Development. You can see what report it was developed off of right here. I'm going to go ahead. Oops, wrong button. Man, making a mess of things. This is great. This is what community updates are for. They're raw. So I'm going to copy this. And we're going to rename it from 3.0, or we're going to say, you know, VEP update. You can call it your company name. So I can call it Virtual C, or I could call it whatever. Just be consistent about it so you know that this is your version. So as you go down here, you'll see different things like the overview video that we include in our reports. Review this. If you're tired of seeing it, just delete it. It's gone. Your client does not need to see the overview video. That is for me to teach you how to use this report. But what I really think you should be focused on is once this feature comes out and you start seeing this nice little bar over to your left, you can now drag and drop sections into your report. So you can grab the annual agenda if this is an annual report session you're giving, bring it up and put it all the way at the top right before the executive summary. And, you know, and if not, just leave it down here. So these are some of the things that you're going to see as your software updates. You're going to be able to use some of these features. But really, the highlight is to come down into this area here. This is where you should be spending your time and making the report your own. And what I recommend people do is right here, create one called Bob's Core Services. And in there, you're going to add in some of your additional things. You're going to add in, do you do cloud migrations for data centers? Do you do managed endpoint security? Do you provide all these other things? Some of the things that you'll see from some of the skips items like, have you done an IT stack assessment? Have you done a best practices audit? You know, these are things that you want to put in here as core services so that your client is seeing this every year and being measured on it. And this becomes part of your own personal report. And this is what I do with a lot of our coaching clients is I have them fill out and think through what questions and what services get delivered to their clients. And you should be thinking the same thing. If you're using me as a coach, I would send you a spreadsheet and I would say, please fill this out. Fill out the questions you want to ask your clients and what services you want to provide them. So every service you have, like managed network security, there's going to be several questions like, do you know if you've been hacked? Do you have a response plan? And there's going to be three, and maybe a question like, do you feel like your crown jewels are protected? Those three questions all result in your core managed network security. And you're going to add this in here. So you're going to say, you know, security services. Oops, I am too far down. And now you can ask your questions. So security services, you know, do you feel
and at this point, remember, we want to ask business-centered questions. Now, I still like dealing with all the operational and technical stuff, but I was having a conversation with one of our coaching clients just earlier this morning, and we were talking about these exact sort of questions that we ask. And we were talking about backup. It was our topic at the time. And one of the things I said was, we don't want to ask our clients, "Are you still backing up to tape?" Or we don't want to ask them, what service are you
What's
using?
wrong with tape? DLT rocks, man.
Tape your mouth closed. But those are technical questions that we need to leave to our engineer and our technical team. We need to focus this around kind of like what Adam's leading at here. When we're talking to stakeholders within the organization, we're asking them, do you feel your data is protected? Do you feel it's secure? If something were happen to this building, would you guys be able to recover, or are you just gonna turn in the deed and move on to something else? So those are the type of questions that need to go into these sort of questionnaires. We don't want to get off in the weeds about asking, how many backups do you do a day? What's your offsite retention time? All those sort of details are left to other more technical engagements.
Yeah, and I do challenge my coaching clients with think business-oriented questions. If you ask, do you have a managed firewall? They don't care. What they care about is, do you feel like your internet is monitored and stable? That's a better question. And I know it's nuanced, but your company doesn't know what a firewall is. They know it's a gizmo they spend about $10,000 on that sits in that room over there, and a guy goes around and plays with it every once in a while. And when he plays with it, bad things happen. And that is what they know about the firewall. They can't tell you what the difference between a firewall and a router is. They don't know what a layer 3 or a layer 7 firewall is. What they want to know is the firewall protecting their assets? Okay, well, what assets are needing to be protected? Do you need to watch for data leaks? Do you need to be watching for HIPAA information? Do you have any compliance initiatives that they need to worry about? These are questions that they care about. And so you got to make these questions that way. And once you have a question figured out and you know what service it's going to map to, you'll select the service from here. Now, our world is a little weird in that Skip and I can't really see all of our services because, again, if I edit these and I don't put them in the service template area, it screws it up for all of you. So if I was on my other account, I could probably show you, but I'm not there. So in this case, we would select, do you have one under the TSA somewhere here for security?
Yeah, there's a firewall management.
Yeah, let's put that in there. Connectivity.
Well, now you got me. You put me on the spot.
Well, this isn't all of them is the problem.
Yeah. Yeah. There's an infrastructure security manager. That's probably the easiest one to run with. One of the TSAs.
Let's say it's internet connectivity management.
There you go.
So, that service may include several things like auditing the WAN, making sure that their internet speeds are correct, and ensuring DLP is in place. Data loss prevention is triggered whenever a social security number passes the firewall unencrypted. Those are little things that you're going to do as part of the service. So there may be several questions here. And in the end, you're going to have a nice little widget up here. So if you have these sections broken out like this, go ahead and add the score details up here. So this is just a score overview. This is everything averaged together. If you have multiple sections like that, go ahead and add in the score details, score category results, right? I think that's the right one, right, Skip? And then you will get a breakdown of each of the header sections. And so they'll see that, wow, we're scoring really low on security. And now your client understands that they need to be adopting more. Like, look, you're sitting at 20% of the adoption of our security services. You need to be fixing that. Or you need to tell them. People have been conditioned since they were little to think in terms of, I scored low. I should get a better score on that. They don't know why, but they know if they score under a 70, if they see less than a 70 on any bar in the world, that they're failing and that no one fails. And so they've got to score higher. They all want to score in the 80s to 90s. We are conditioned to think this way. So when you ask your questions in here and your client keeps saying, nah, we don't need you to test our backups. Nah, we don't need that new solution. Now they're seeing that they're scoring really low. Like their adoption of your backup solutions is at 20%. You may be offering all these as part of your core services, but they don't want you to do it. But we all know that if they don't do these things, it's going to come back on you as an MSP. So your VCIO's job is to make sure that these things are being adopted. And if you're running a technology assessment, that becomes a question in here. Are you running a technology alignment session? Here's an infrastructure stack audit. Are you running a best practices audit with them? Edit these things and make them reflect your services. Everything's in here. We have hundreds of services in here that are available. This is just like a small fraction of what you guys have in yours. Find the one that works for you and add it. Oh, go ahead.
And you're right. Back before we get off the score, I've had people ask me and said, well, isn't that score just kind of arbitrary? And I would say, in some terms, yeah, maybe it is, but it's a consistently arbitrary number, if that makes sense. And so we can come back and, on interval, whether it be month to month or quarter to quarter, or, even maybe a smaller client, you're doing an annual to an annual for some reason. We have something that we can definitively use to manage our clients with, because otherwise we're just going to be sitting around chatting about things and throwing things out there and always trying to re-educate our clients. Well, do you remember when we talked about this, or do you remember when we talked about that? Let's get this down in some definitive sort of numbers, and that's where these projects that Adam is highlighting help you define that. Because when the client's score goes down, you create a project, and that project, essentially has a score. Don't want to get off on the weeds on how that works, but if they do that project, then it increases their score, and we move those people up. And interestingly enough, I guarantee you, if you talk to your clients enough about some sort of scoring mechanism, before too long, once they kind of get up and doing better in the score, they'll even start asking you, well, how well am I doing against all your other clients? I don't know how many times I've had customers come back. They're just competitive. Not only do they want to get into that 80 to 90% range, they want to be better than everyone else. And so the scoring mechanism is a great tool to help with these ongoing management exercises.
Yeah, peer pressure is always worthwhile when it comes to marketing. Like, well, all of our other clients are sitting at 70%. You are our lowest scoring customer when it comes to security, which is great for them because you're always it's all about the bear situation. You're running with your friend away from a bear.
Yep.
How fast do you need to run? Just faster than your friend. And that pretty much sums up security. So now you're letting your clients know, like, you're the slowest of all of our clients. But also that teaches you from a client engagement score perspective of, look, this customer is falling below our healthy line. And you can create that line saying, look, our risk as an MSP, we don't want the black eye. We don't want the embarrassment. You can say, look, you guys are dropping below 30% or 50% compliance. You have 1 year to get this up, or we're going to suggest that you go work with another MSP. There's some great ones out there, but we believe you're too much of a risk. But here is where you define that. You can define your questionnaire in here, or you can have a separate questionnaire that says, how is your risk tolerance acceptable to your key stakeholders? And if not, we need to run a risk assessment over here to figure out what that looks like. And if you fall below 70%, we know you're failing, and we got to get you back up. And so these are hard questions you can have people, but people are so used to being tested and scored that when you show them a widget like this that is personal to you, that you have built yourself, then you can start saying things like, this is our risk tolerance. If they're not using MFA, we don't want them. If they're not using DLP, we don't want them as customers, because that breach will cause more problems. And that's how we want you guys to use these reports. whether you're doing a technology assessment or whether you're doing the strategic assessment or a budget assessment, make that questionnaire your own, customize those things, and then add them to your clients. So now that I've, created this nice little one-off VEP update one, I can close it and I can go over to my clients. I go to Apple Accounting, and now I can add that new template in here. It'll be all the way at the bottom. And then we can say this is for Apple Accounting or 2020. Oh no, did that earlier. So 2020 strategy. And now we come in here and I can go through and ask them the questions. So if I scroll down here, you'll see that now under my questions, there is a new section called, all the way at the bottom, Technical Maturity, Bob's Core Services. And do you feel like your core is protected? Yes or no? Yes, they do, 100%. No, they don't, all the way over here. And so when they see the score categories up here, they're going to see that they scored poorly on core services. That's how this works. That's why you guys need to own these reports. You can use my generic ones, but the whole purpose of my questions here was just to have a framework for you to fill out to show you what it should look like. My questions look different. These questions are built as a generic starting spot so that you can see what this should look like and how best to measure your, oops, clicking too fast. How best to measure your clients. Oh yeah, and you can see this. Let me just create a mock little thing for you guys really quick. So now we can come up here and you can see that they're not doing any core services. Poor adoption, because maybe they're not a client yet. Maybe they have more to do. Maybe they need to go farther. Whatever it is, now you can have this conversation. But if you tell them, here's our stack, here's everything you need, they don't get that. They're lost, they're out of context. But if you show them a bar graph like this, like, oh man, we're only 31% of quarterly goals done. Well, that's okay, because we're only in Q2. It's just we're month one of Q2. This is okay. Strategic maturity, you know what? We'll get better next year as we hone down on the budget and help them out. Technical maturity, you guys are adopting our full stack. You're doing great, but we really need to be focusing on security. Now you have a narrative that is custom to what you guys care about. Maybe you want to push a Microsoft Office application suite this year. Make that one of the core categories that all of your account managers are going to talk about. That is the beauty of this report. And that's how I think you guys need to be using it for empowering yourselves. It shouldn't take you more than maybe an hour to add your own questions in here. If you're to do this report from scratch, it would take you around 60 hours to get this done. At the least, if you really knew what you're doing, it would take you 60 hours to get this built up. But editing the questions, making it your own so you get your own score category results up here so that you can talk to your client about this stuff, that's easy. And you can do with any of the report templates you have in the VEP program.
Yep. And you could swap those out. I mean, you could have one right now for, Windows 7 upgrades. And it's something that, you could have been looking at throughout the whole year. And, you've got the X number of machines in there and, you're migrating. You move them through. We've done batch 1. We've done batch 2 to batch 3. We can create, we can help you with these questions. If you get stuck on these, reach out to Adam and I. We can help you create these. And so as you move through the project of migrating all of those clients from Windows 7 to Windows 10, you can go through there and click those. All, the sales department's done, engineering's done, support team's done, accounting group is done. And you can see this on a graph as it moves, and your clients have a really relatable score and a chart and, a management tool that they can see along with you to manage their infrastructure.
Yeah, and a question from the community, can I use my own recommended projects, or do I have to use the template? You can make your own projects, no problem. It takes a little longer. I recommend if you make your own project template or your service template, when you go over to Service Catalog, that you start with one that's, until you're really familiar with this, start with one that we have here. I don't care which one you use.
Yes.
Find one that's kind of in the realm of what you're looking for. So Microsoft Office 365, let's see here.
I'm familiar with it, and I always copy an existing one. I don't remember the last time I created a new one.
I honestly can't remember the last time I created one from scratch either. Laziness wins every time with us, folks. So cable management project, maybe you're going to do structured cabling, or maybe it's something completely off the wall, like you want to sell them white glove home services. Come in here, copy this. I'm not going to save this because otherwise it'll make you all mad. Come in here and edit it. Make it your own problem and benefits. Use the formatting they have there. Rename the service. I recommend, if it's yours, name it, in my case, prefix it with your company name, or Bob's, white glove. And call it home PC management.
There you go.
Executive PC management.
Yeah, just
and then you can come down here and you can select where it is.
Yep. Anytime you're in the Managed Service Platform tool, you hit a drop down. There's a really long list of things there. Give it a try. Start typing in a few characters of what you're looking for. That will shorten it. That's why you see TSA on all of my stuff, because I got tired of scrolling through that list to find it. And so I prepended TSA to all of those. So when I'm creating those projects and associating them with the statements, TS and everything's right there with a quick pick, or I could keep typing to get to what I want. So there's another little trick along the way to get you navigating a little faster.
Yeah. So the real power of the VEP program gets unlocked when you guys ask us questions, when you guys say, hey, how do I do this stuff? Like, how do I edit products or projects? Or do you want a video series on how to do something better? Like maybe a video series on how to deliver QBRs. Send me an email and we will add it in. Almost everything I work on or Skip works on, we have done it because somebody requested it. Somebody said, hey, how do I do a better ITCQ? How do I do a better QBR? How do I do this in the reports? Or hey, there was something weird in there. How do I edit this out because it's not rendering right? Oh, well, let's fix that for you. So submit those via email, send them to coaching@virtualc.biz, and one of us will pick it up. So sales questions, I don't do sales, that's Skip. What's nice about sending it to coaching@virtualc.biz is that depending on your question will depend on who picks it up. If you have pre-sales or operational questions, Skip will pick that up and he'll respond to you, and we'll see if we can't fix those things. If it's something like strategic, or how to talk to an executive team, or how to do a board review, I'm going to pick up and I'm going to give you advice on that, or I'm going to send it in and we're going to build a project for that. Yeah. So depending on what you're doing, whether it's pre-sales, operations, or strategic initiatives, will depend on who's going to respond to your email. But email is the right place to do it because we don't have the forum set up right now. We don't have that dynamic experience ready to go. So email is how you reach us, and that is an advantage to a VEP customer. Nobody else gets the email access to us other than for pre-sales. So if you have questions, if things are bugging you, if something's not going well, if you've got a client tomorrow that you need to deliver to and are nervous about, email us. Let us help you. Let us figure things out inside the account, and we will get you sorted out. That's our goal here. Our goal is to help you succeed. So I don't think there's any other questions. So we're probably just going to close out for today and let everybody have their time back. This is the longest video we've done so far. Usually we spend a little time chatting and then recording. But today I think, I'm going to cut it off because I don't like watching long videos. But if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Email us questions so we can answer them in this weekly update. And we'll see you online.
All right. See you guys.